I'm Renee Richel, the founder and president of One True Match. I'm here to help you find and cultivate the love of your life. For over a decade, I've dedicated my life to the importance, purpose, and dynamic of human relationships. My team and I are disciplined by faith, love, and integrity to help our clients find the quality relationship they've always dreamt of. Each week, I will be sharing the tools and tips I've learned that have rooted my success as a matchmaker with other leaders around the world.
Hello, loves. Welcome back and Merry Christmas. We are so excited to be sharing this special edition to all of our loved ones out there to help set them up for what we say a successful Christmas. So we're going to give tips to give to our audience and just loved ones that our team here at One True Match is forever doing for other people. So
and during the holiday season, so we're excited to go into this one, and I hope everyone is listening to this while they're maybe prepping their gifts, I don't know, wrapping or just enjoying the holiday season
with their family, their friends. If you're traveling, if you are, go back to this, write this down. We hope that this is beneficial and helpful. So let's start off. So tip number one, which is number one, right? Jesus is the reason for the season.
Reason for the season,
right? So many times we get so wrapped up in literally wrapping and getting all the gifts and running around and all the things that we forget that this is the whole reason for the season, which is to remember, Jesus and God first and the love that he fills up inside of us on a daily, regular basis. That's what it's about more than anything, right? Is that we 100%. Love him more than, it sounds crazy to some, but it's true. Like you have to love him more than you love your mate, to then love your children, to love your family and all of those things. So I feel like the number one tip we all agreed on is to remember that first and foremost when we go through all the other tips.
Yeah, and also when all the mayhem is happening, take that time away to either worship, like bringing you back grounded, like get back to kind of the reason for the season.
The reason for the season, right?
It's so hard when it gets busy, chaotic, to just float away from that. And if you go to either like your church over Christmas, like make sure you're keeping yourself accountable to that too, because it's always good to bring us back for the reason.
Right, exactly. And tip number two is to pray for your loved one.
Yeah.
So of course, some people that are listening to this, I know are single, some are dating, obviously engaged or married, is to remember to pray for your future mate, right? Because the hope is that they are out there praying for you.
Yes.
But also, if you are in a relationship, to pray for your mate. It's so important. I think people forget that. Right? You just, again, get caught in your routine and you just get caught in life and you forget to just on a regular daily basis also pray for your mate.
Yeah, and also someone who may need it, right? And your wife or your husband or your mom is out there running around, like we said, the season is just so manic. Remember to pray for them. Take a minute. Again, kind of it wraps into number one, but take a minute back. Pray for them, pray for the people in need, and also just remember to allow yourself some time. I know that like Renee in the morning she always has her allotted time in the morning, no matter what, of kind of her devotional time. Make sure you're, even in the season when it's really busy, keeping yourself to those prayers and that devotional time. Keep it in the same time that you usually would, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And I think we're always asking our clients, outside of obviously praying for the love of their life, but also like, what can we pray for you on? And maybe it be their career, maybe it be something with a family member or whatever it is.
And don't feel afraid to ask other people, like someone you love dearly or your sister or maybe you don't have a sister. That's probably a bad example. I have three siblings. Yeah, a sibling or family or, even us, make sure that we have a team of prayer warrior list. Like if there's something particular over the holiday season that you feel that you need extra prayers for, like ask other people for it. They will happily pray for you if, of course, you're important.
Right. And of course, like if you're married, obviously pray for your marriage and just for the longevity of the open communication that you guys have, and that forever is something that's on your tongue of communication is so important.
Yeah, even if things are already good, continue praying for it to stay the way it is, because people often tend to pray when times get tough instead of when it's really
and they forget
good.
to do it daily. So we're hoping that you'll continue this on to the new year of a way of doing, you know, your tips that just last a whole year of Christmas giving. Right?
Yes, 100%.
And if you are single, I always tell everybody we're so quick when you're single to come up with your list, right, of the perfect person or the scenario of the perfect age, the perfect height, the perfect, right, picture that you've always imagined. And the reality of it is, when I was studying all of this so many years ago, it was like stopping and actually praying, not for the specifics, but praying for the person that God had planned.
Yeah, and no one is perfect. I will say that over and over again. No one is perfect. So bring yourself back to that of just pray for of what you need, and instead of what you just want.
I love it. Tip number 3, that I think this is huge in our office, we're constantly doing this for each other, is to do something special for someone that you love. And I think because, you know, obviously in our office we all love and adore each other, and of course in our families, but sometimes we forget about, you know, I know there's little times where it's like, Connie's like, why did you, I can't believe you got me this, or because we're not big gift givers, Connie and I, obviously. Yeah. But the littlest things of even just a text message that says, hey, let's get together, let's go have a girl spa day, or let's go do something, or
even like thinking of you, right? If,
right.
Like if time is like something that I know that over the holidays everyone's so worried about time. I don't have time to hang out with this friend. I don't have time to hang. You know, spread yourself too thin sometimes, and I even catch myself thinking like, oh, I actually thought of them, instead of just me thinking of that person, being like, okay, remind myself to just throw out a text, give them a random call. I had a friend call me yesterday, actually, which was so sweet. And she's just like, I just called you to talk to you.
Yes.
And although I was like, I don't have time, I'm running around, da, 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 da. And then after, I was really grateful the fact that she was just like, I'm thinking of you. So in the holiday season and in the time of giving, it's always just nice to reach out to someone and let them know that you love them and you adore them. Or maybe you want to, like you said, do something fun together.
And one of the other tips is that we talked about is number 4 is to actually handwrite out a letter for somebody, sharing your gratitude of appreciation of something that they've done for you in the last year.
Yeah.
So it also ties into not only like giving somebody a phone call, but doing something where you're actually writing a letter and you're going and getting a stamp. Yes. And you're putting it in the mail. You know, if you're somebody that does Christmas cards every year, right? And you just send them out to the masses that we all love to receive and get. But this is one that would be super special. And don't overload yourself and think I need to do my top 10 friends or whatever. Like somebody that you haven't spoken to in maybe a really long time, to just maybe you've never even told them how grateful they are for maybe being a mentor, taking the time to have coffee with you, or whatever the littlest thing is.
100%. And I think that we forget about little notes like that. And I know that we've talked about it a little bit, how we love that in One True Match, all of us. I mean, I always say someone gives me a little, even a handwritten birthday card, and I'm like, that's so sweet. And all of that, you know, fun stuff. But what we did at our wedding was everyone's seat left them a little note, and literally the note was only about this small. It was tiny. It took me maybe 2-3 hours to write out a whole like 35 guests of everyone's note. But every time I go home or go to a friend's, I see my one friend carries it in her purse. My sister has it like in her drawer. And it's so crazy because it was just me and my husband telling them a small few things of either the last memories in the last year or something that was so special to us, but now that little piece of paper, it is so special to them. And so even Renee, when she came up with this tip of the year, and I think it was you that mentioned this, and I was just like, what a great idea, because I've thought about it for like a wedding, but why don't we just continue to do that at the end of every year and, you know, give that sweet little note, because you know it only takes a couple of minutes if you're truly writing off your heart what you think of that person.
It does.
I love that. That's probably my favorite.
You know, I think the other thing that, and you're saying that too, is I always tell everybody, write your future mate a love letter, and your person you're with a love letter. And whether it be you give it to them over the holiday of obviously Christmas, whatever, but or a celebration, but also just give it to them for no reason. Like save it and then give it to them at another time. And if you are single, I'm telling you, writing, when you can actually sit down and craft a love letter to your future mate, you are that much closer to God giving you the clarity of who that person is because you're serious about that person coming into your life, right?
Yeah,
too. And then
100%.
save it to give to your future mate. We love it when couples do that all the time.
Yeah, and all our married couples too. Like we're saying, it gets so busy and people are running around with their family, friends. Everyone gets so busy. You know, it's nice maybe even just to put it in their pocket, and then when they go later to change their clothes or something and they have this little note in their pocket, it's such a sweet surprise of someone just like you're as a partner cared about them, to although through the craziness they just have that little reminder that they're loved, and it's special.
It is special. And it puts you in the right holiday spirit too. I feel like, of just remembering
the
to
holiday
slow
spirit
down to keep your spirits high and joyful, right?
Yes.
Number 5 we came up was, which is so important, we all do this, is self-love.
Yeah, this is like a whole. I mean, we could talk about this.
Selfish, right, during the holiday because you're supposed to be giving to so many other people.
Yeah.
But we forget we've got to fuel ourselves.
Yeah. So although we're talking about being go all the time, blah blah blah, like you're doing this, you're doing that. I've got to entertain. I've got to do this. I've got to be at this person's house. Remember to actually, okay, well, I'm going to take an hour to read my book this morning. Like if reading's your thing, I'm going to read a book and I'm just going to sit here for 1 whole hour, undivided attention. Doesn't matter if you got to make your casserole by a certain time. Like just put a time limit, even if it's not a whole hour, even 30 minutes of time for you, or if it's having a lovely bubble bath, like whatever it may be, like do something that's special for you. And also, even if it's dressing cute, I know lots of people like to dress cute on Christmas Day, although they don't leave their house, but it's kind of like that form of self-love of making yourself feel good, you know?
Yes, even whether it be like, you know, just go to the spa or just spend time by yourself at the beach or something. Like,
or
just
go for a walk
something
on your own, you know, like on
something.
Christmas morning. You'll be surprised at how much better it'll make you be also for everyone else around you if you give yourself some self-love.
I totally agree. Number 6, which probably should have been higher up, but all these things are important to do, right?
I guess these aren't in chronological order. We've kind of just brainstormed all 12 of them.
Right, I agree. Is to also, during the Christmas season into the new year, is to communicate your expectations. I think so many times the lack of communication is because there is a lack of sharing, or also describing your expectations that you have to somebody that you love so that you can work on fulfilling what those expectations are. And if you're single and you're thinking, well, what difference does it make? But let's be honest, when you're single, whatever expectations you have, you can probably go achieve because you don't have to communicate that with anybody else.
Yeah.
So the beauty of when we talk about this, if you're single, dating, engaged, or married, is that also be realistic with your expectations so you're not left on the flip side of it being disappointed, right?
Yeah. Well, I hear this over and over since being a matchmaker years ago, is that every Christmas, all of our clients, people who aren't clients and just know us from either social media, out and about, friends, always come and like, what do I do? My husband wants to go here. I want to go here. I want to do this. They want to do that. Like, you want to be having these conversations long before you hear this podcast. And if you're still in the predicament now, this is the 21st of December, I think. And it's going to be, I mean, Christmas is in like 4 days. So if you don't have your plans, or even if your plans aren't in place already and they're still up in the air, like we're doing this, we're doing that, sit down tonight and make sure that you come to an agreement together. It's not me versus you, we're a team in this.
And because, like you're saying, I mean, at this point, there's not many more days until Christmas, right? So if then this year you felt like you two are just butting heads when it comes to everybody has invites and you're either just getting at each other's throat because you just feel like you're not getting quality time together, it's important to then communicate what the next holidays going forward, not just Christmas, are going to look like.
Yeah, and
so
don't
that there's
forget
goals
about it.
Of being able to fulfill those expectations in the future, instead of like keep going down this vicious cycle where you're just both basically starting to separate more and more and more from each other, instead of leaning in and saying, hey, you know what, this year was a complete zoo.
Yeah.
Next year, I'd like to put a little less in our calendar to spend a little bit more quality time. Next year, I'd like to go on a vacation, maybe just the two of us. Or next time I'd like to, go see my family, and then the
Mm.
following year you see my your family or whatever it is, and
Make a routine. Like, I know that
yes,
even like if you're not a planner, because everyone knows that listens to these podcasts, me and Renee are planners. Even if you aren't, make sure that you make a routine out of Christmas, like Renee said, whether it's your family, then their family, then vice versa, and then there's a Christmas on your own. Or if you truly can't agree, I believe that you stay home, just you guys. Like,
yeah,
make it
there's
special.
nothing wrong with that, right?
Do
Make
the
it
day before your family, the day after. Like, if that's what that means, like, and it's such a disagreement, make sure that you're coming together to make a mutual agreement, instead of you're gonna then hate each other on Christmas Day, and that's miserable too.
Right.
So it's like, really get that healthy balance of what it's gonna look like.
And if you're not a
it's too
planner,
late, yeah.
each year do something different.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality of it is it's just also, communicating whatever those expectations are. And if you're somebody that's not a planner, then just communicate that there is going to be no plan.
Yeah.
And on the day, you're just going to wake up whenever you're going to wake up, and but like communicating that with each other is really important.
And
then,
normally there's always a planner and a not
and
planner together.
right? And it's like, the planner is like, yes, because the non-planner will come along with whatever the planner's planning, but then sometimes the planner gets exhausted because they're always doing the planning. So it's important that you sit down and communicate and say, I'd really love it if you planned one or two things to the non-planner for the planner as a Christmas gift, right? Or vice versa, where the non-planner then takes something off the plate of the planner, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's a good Christmas gift, I feel like, to each other.
100%. And then if you are listening to this as a planner, also don't put 100 things on your calendar over Christmas. Let it be this time of family. We're terrible at this, so I'm talking to me and Renee basically.
But we get better each year, I feel like. We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. We do.
Yeah. I love how there's some self-persuasion there between me and Renee. So, hey, maybe next year we'll give you a real rundown of how many things we committed to this year.
Right? But
maybe
I
we should do that.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's important that we're forever learning, right? So
Yes.
we're forever learning to be better of our own versions of ourselves.
100%. Just like that whole self-love. We're working on ourselves too. And you never stop doing it.
I totally agree. Well, number 7, I think, pairs really well with communicating expectations, is also communicating a realistic budget for Christmas. So we start working with relationship, obviously we're constantly training people relationship skills 101, whether you're single, dating, engaged, and married. It's really across the board because all of it needs to be learned by yourself to be a great mate, to also be a great, partner and things like that. But in October, when I was doing the market research forever ago, in October is the time where people should really start working on relationship skill building from that date on to be able to get through all the holiday seasons, right? Coming up in the families and all of that. But prior to this, and we're talking again for the future, is it's so important to talk about realistic budgets. And even for your own self, because we see so many people that then they just, how many times have we gone to somebody's house and they give you a gift and you didn't get them a gift, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then you're like, okay, if I get this one friend a gift, then I need to get 25 other people gifts, right? And it's like, so it's like, where do you start and where do you stop? And then sometimes
there's a fine line.
I mean, it can lead to massive financial stress, anxiety, right? Just all these things. That's not what it's supposed to be. Like, again, at the end of the day, it was about Jesus being born.
Yeah, it's not about
and they brought gifts of things they already had, right? They weren't like going out and having like this lavish budget of buying somebody a whatever, something that was out of their price range.
Yeah, and we talk to so many couples that it's all fine over the Christmas period. They sit down in January and it's like, oh my goodness, how much did we spend? I was not aware of this. It becomes a huge, and we talk a lot about like financially being aligned, and that is one of the toughest things after Christmas. You have plenty of time to figure this one out. It's now only the 21st, 22nd.
Yeah.
I'm almost forgetting the days. I think it's pretty, that's how everyone works. Days up to Christmas all blends into one. But when it does come, you have still plenty of time to kind of, yes, you should have already set a budget, but figure out how you're going to now recover from that if you are in a little bit of a hole, because this can really affect people's relationships and disagreements and how it moves on the next few months of the year going into the new year. So definitely make sure that you are honest about financial situations, or honest about what you have spent on the holidays. If you're already too deep past this point and go into next year, it'll be key to have like a budgeting book and sit down with your partner or your family or whoever it may be, to make sure that no one needs all these ridiculous expensive gifts, because they can buy them themselves. Like, that's always what I think when it comes to gifts. I'm not a gift giver, but if they want it, they can buy it themselves most of the time, you know? So
I totally agree. So it's,
be very
I always
careful.
say you have to be financially sexy. In order to do that is to not be in a lot of debt.
yeah, exactly.
So if you remember nothing more about that, everybody hates the word like budget, right? But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, remind yourself you want to always forever be financially sexy, because you're going to be attracted to somebody that's also financially sexy.
Exactly.
All right. And then we have number 8 is know your mate, or if you're not coupled, your friends or family or dear loved ones' love language.
Yes.
So, what we often say, if you've never taken the 5 love languages before, or any type of quiz like that, first of all, take that. Second of all, it's so important that not only do you then act out, we know we're really good at our own love language, right?
Yes.
But knowing your mate or your dearest friend's love language, have them take the quiz
It's
and then
the
compare
sweetest,
them.
too.
And then if somebody's is acts of service and yours is not, do something of acts of service for them. If yours is physical touch, do something, and theirs is like, gift giving. Get them a gift. Like, I challenge you during this next 4 or 5 days before
Yeah.
Christmas or even into the new year, is to carry it on, is to really work on knowing somebody that's so important to you. And start with, like, whether it be, we have parents do this all the time now with their kids, their 10-year-olds, right? Because it's like, start wondering, like, when people think, why are their relationships not stronger?
Yeah.
And it's truly because I always say, like, knowing their personality type and their love language is so important. So I would challenge you, one thing, that it's opposites. If your love language is so different than your mate or even a dear friend, is have them take that quiz, sit down and have couch talk conversation, as we say, of how you're going to, like, spend a day or do something of an act of a different love language for that person.
Yeah, and force yourself to do it, even if it's not the most comfortable to you. Like, I am terrible at words of affirmation. Terrible, terrible, terrible. Not the best gift giver either. And as I say that because me and Renee always say on these podcasts, if you
But
watch,
what's funny is that we always get each other, like, something really small for Christmas.
Yeah, I know.
Just because it's like, I don't know, we make such a
but it's always
point about this.
But it's normally because it's like, oh, we thought about you.
Yes.
Like, it's not just
I
something
think that's
like,
why people love gifts, because
Yeah.
they thought about each
yeah,
other.
instead
right?
of just being like, oh, hey, I got this random gift because I have to give you a gift. Like,
Right.
it's normally like, oh, something love related.
Because when we were
because
out
that's the way-
shopping,
Yeah.
right? They're like cheesy little, like, heart stuff, like more Post-its that we always need, right?
Yeah.
But it's something that's sweet because you're thinking about that person.
Yeah, and if
too.
it's like, if it's something that you don't feel comfortable with, give yourself like, okay, it's now the 21st. 25th is only a few days away. I'm gonna do four whole days of words of affirmation. Give my husband 2 words of affirmation every single day,
and not just for the 4 days.
No,
Like,
obviously
try
going forward,
to
of
do
course.
it more frequently, especially if you have a mate or if you have children or you have, like, a dear friend and you're just like, I want to get closer to them.
Yeah.
Know what that is so that you can actually start feeling a different relationship of love towards somebody. It's incredible when people do this. It's
And
like,
they will feel
wow,
cared
they've
for
never had a
too.
deeper relationship because they were totally not understanding each other's differences.
And I feel like as soon as you know love languages, you just know that person on a whole nother level because
Yes.
you understand them.
I totally agree.
Like, even in work, like a work environment, we always do remind everyone what's love languages because we don't. It's
Right.
so important. Of like, oh, okay, like Renee said, oh, a small gift. If there's someone who's a gift giver, I know there's Ashley, I think, enjoys gifts. If you
Yeah.
just put something on her desk, makes her whole day.
Yes.
Like there's just little things like that that's really important to do for people.
It's
It's
so
the
true.
smallest gestures that make them the happiest when you truly know that person.
Which, budgetarily, doing somebody else's love language, and if it is a gift, it can be easy as a note, doesn't cost anything. So this
Yeah.
is a good, like, practice somebody else's love language as another thing that doesn't cost you any money.
Yeah, like an acts of service. Say, oh, I'll go walk your dog for you. I'll do one thing for you while your
Yes.
day's overloaded. It's like, oh my goodness, that's so sweet.
Which
So
I
it's
love.
something so small and and it's probably going to make them way happier than just throwing random gifts around at Christmas time.
I totally agree. Which ties into number 9, which is give time and volunteer, which is basically what you just said. That I think so many times, like, you know, we've done podcasts on social media and everything else, but there's so many things out there. Even if it's just the smallest little, even you can only devote 2-3 hours of your time or something, doing something that you're going to volunteer for this coming year that you haven't done before. The community and the feeling you walk away from doing something and the people that you meet, God can work with miracles from those littlest connections that I always say. Like, and
it makes you feel so alive. It makes you feel amazing.
It feels so good. Again, that's another budgetary thing that you're not going into debt for. Just by giving and feeling great, right?
Yeah. And just even if it's, like Renee said, an hour of the holiday season, or if you can't, and say that you are financially, you know, your budget is fine, you have budgeted way. How about go give a turkey or a ham to maybe some children, you know, like the houses, like children's foster houses. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Or like the homeless shelter, you know, if you maybe don't have the time.
Right, because a lot of people are super busy, right?
Yeah. So volunteer in a different way. Give something that can make someone's Christmas so special.
Right, exactly. Like I know our church always does these Christmas boxes, right? And you put certain things in and they ship away and things like that. Or even if you're somebody that's like, you know, you only have an extra $25 or something like that, and you meet somebody and just invite them for coffee. Go have a conversation and pour into them and ask them, like, or whatever, and just make a difference in somebody's life just because you listen to, I think, is super important.
Yeah, very.
Which then ties into number 10, forgive bitterness. And it's crazy that this word bitterness came up in such a positive, you know, what we're saying to do. But we sit with couples and we sit with our singles, you know, before they become couples all the time. And the truth is there's a lot of bitterness that comes with just the holiday season of the rush and dash of things, but also the unforgiveness of things that have happened in our past. And at the end of the day, Jesus died on a cross for our sins to be forgiven. And just like we talked about, number 1 is this is what the season is all about, is to let the bitterness go. Give it all to the Lord, and remember to forgive when people cut you off or make you upset or whatever happens.
Just let it go.
Just let it go. Forgive. I think it's such a big thing that we all say. You know, when we're at the end of the day, we feel what our client receives almost before it actually happens, right? So like there's so many times we're like, we have to forgive somebody when they did something wrong on a date or they didn't, whatever, something happened, right? Yeah. And we're like, at the end of the day, it's also a blessing because it just means that there's somebody else, right? And so, you know, for all the things that have happened in the past, it also frees you for all the things that are ahead in the future.
Yeah, and also don't be a Grinch. Don't be miserable. Like, if something is bothering you and making you grumpy, it's over the happiest season and the holiday season. Let it go. Like you just said, like, let it go. Let God, like, just wipe it away. But definitely don't be a Grinch and bring other people down either, because that's one of my least favorite things at Christmas time. It's like, okay, if you're not happy, take your time and practice all these other things like self-love, give some time, fill your cup back up, and don't press it on other people. So
I couldn't agree more. So we hope you have found this extra special edition podcast to talk about all of the reasons for the season, and to remember that this is all about the birth of Jesus Christ and the love that you share with your family, and to treat everyone with kindness and extra care, as busy as you can be during this season. We are sending all of our love and hugs to your family from ours. We hope you have a very, very Merry Christmas, and we can't wait to our next chat soon. We're going to love and leave you and hope you have a blessed day.
It's been another great talk on this episode of One True Talks by Renee Richel. I look forward to our next chat. Please write in your questions and comments so I can be sure to talk about whatever it is you want to discuss in our next upcoming episode. Lots of love. God bless. XOXO.